Encourager, Mickey Smith Jr.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller.
In TCA, let me hear you make some noise. Come on, where you at? Put your hands together. Put your hands together. It's early, but it's good because we're together. I'm reminded in this season, we're made better together. Put your hands together like this. Clap. Clap. Come on. Clap. Clap. Let's get them going this morning. Hey, 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 hey. You sound good. So good to be with you today. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I tell you, this has been an amazing experience just being here for the last few hours. It's always a joy when I can come into a place and share and serve, but most importantly, meet. You know, a few years back, we all went through a little something that reminded us of the value. You know, these moments were few and far between just a few years ago. And now that we're on the other side of this, I think it's so important that we stay reminded of the value. You know, somebody said earlier, man, Mickey, why they got you here? You're a teacher. I'm not a technologist, I'll tell you right now, right? But I do understand this, that at the end of the day, teaching at its best is no different than what you do. It's being able to add value and see value. The only difference is my stage is a classroom. Your stage is this country. And what you're getting ready to embark on and get ready to do is literally something that is going to change the face of our future. How many of you know that our country is built upon innovation, that individual spirit, that adventuring spirit? And now our new frontier, it's not the plains, it's not the Rocky Mountains, it's that unseen space that we're going to occupy and conquer, dare I even say. I need you to understand something. Today, I didn't come here to teach. I didn't come here to preach. I just came here to remind you of your sound. Now, somebody said, Mickey, there you go. You from Louisiana. Maybe y'all different out there. You didn't notice. Nobody in here has an instrument. Well, I can clearly see that nobody has an instrument. But I'll say it again. I'm here to remind you of your sound. Listen, for me as a teacher, it started a long time before I got into the classroom. I believe your story probably has a start that began well before this moment that we're in right now. For me, my story began in a little community, much like the communities you serve, a little town called Mossville, Louisiana. Now, look, you can Google it right now, but I'm telling you, you won't find it because Mossville doesn't exist anymore. See, it was an amazing place. I kind of call it Mayberry back in the day. It's where you could go and play, and Mom just said, be home before the lights go out, before the street light goes out. It was a place kind of like old school Cheers. It's a place you wanted to go, everybody knew your name, and they're always glad you came. That's what that place was for me, but it was a place where I was able to develop my skill set. See, my first sound on the saxophone was amazing. I'll never forget my grandmother. The woman, listen, the same woman who I never saw spend money, the same woman who, if I cut her grass, she said, here's $1.25. And she said it just like that, too. I love my grandma, but I'm going to tell you, rest her soul, she wasn't a milk and cookies kind of grandma. Grandma was a little bit different. If you asked grandma to describe herself, again, no disrespect, I'm quoting grandmother. If you asked grandmother to describe herself, she'd say, I'm stern and I'm firm. And she did this. I don't even know what that meant. If you would have told me that lady who paid me $1.25, if you would have told me that lady who, on our way to the gas station, I would sometimes say, hey, grandmother, can I have a stick of gum? She'd say, Here's half now, and you might get half later. I said, man, how cheap you got to be not to give me a stick of gum? And it wasn't even the good gum. It was the free dent, because she didn't have the teeth thing going on. Just being honest. If you would have told me that woman would have went in her pocketbook and took out $400 to invest in an instrument, I would have said, not my grandmother. You couldn't even call her grandma. That was too casual. Not my grandmother. But she did that. And when she handed me the instrument, she said, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm telling you this, if I find a Hallmark card that says that and give it to my wife on our anniversary, it's going to be bad news, right? Who says that? This is what I'm supposed to do. But she did it. And I remember being in that little town. Again, small town, y'all. Some people have a one stoplight town. We had a one stop sign town. We didn't even have a post office. It was small, right? But I remember being in that little town, in that forgotten community, and I got that instrument my grandmother gave me, and my first sound was amazing. I put that horn to my lips. It was amazingly terrible. Let me just be honest. My mom steps into the scene. She walks up to me. She says, son, I see something special in you. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know this. If you keep on going, you'll be successful. That was my mom. The only problem with that is she said those words, but she actually walked over to the front door and opened it. She said, son, I see something special in you. I don't know what it is, but if you keep on going. See, y'all smart. If you keep on going, you'll be successful. She kicked me out the house, right? That's where my musical journey began. So I go to the steps. I go to the steps, and as I go to the steps, I go to make that sound. My mom opens up the door. She says, son, keep on going. I say, Mama, that's the driveway. She said, I know, go. So I go down to the driveway. True story. I put that horn to my lips. I don't even get it. I don't even get the sound out. My mom sticks her head out the window. She says, hey, keep on going. I say, Mama, that's the woods across the street. I know, go. Now, for my sophisticated folks, woods just means forest, right? So she kicked me across the street, my practice room became the woods. I'm a music teacher. I love band. But can I just be honest with y'all today? You're not really winning the homecoming king competition being in the band, right? Okay, with that being understood, do you know how hard it is to be the dude in band and be the weird dude that's in band and plays in the woods? You're not winning popularity contests. This music thing was setting me back, y'all. But I ended up not giving up on it because it was just something I couldn't explain. Even to this moment, I can't put it to words fully. I knew that there was something of significance to this thing. Now, again, I'm just a little kid. I'm about 10, 11 years old. But I knew. And at the end of the day, I understand sometimes the kids, they have the radar. They have the awareness that sometimes we forget. I know when I'm working with pre-K or kindergarten, I say, how many scientists do we have? Every hand goes up. How many astronauts? Me. How many artists? Me. Can you draw it? No, but I'm an artist. And then as the years go by, I ask the same questions. And fewer hands go up. And you know what the crazy thing is? Music is the universal language. But by the time they get to be 12 years old, I have to recruit them to do the very thing they were born to do. Something happens to their level of awareness. But in that space, in that place in the woods, I knew that there was something to this thing. So I didn't give up. Every time I played, I need you to help me. When I point to you, can you say, keep on going? Look, I'm from the South, y'all. I'm a teacher, so I'm kind of participatory, all right? So if I point to you, I want everybody to say back to me these words, keep on going. Let's test it out. Ready, go. Oh, you with me. Come on. Say it again. Good. See, I was in the woods, and every time I played, I didn't get the sound I wanted, but I understood I needed to encourage myself. I said, oh, man, but I tried it once. Man, but I tried it twice. Somebody lied. Third time wasn't a charm. Thank you. Hey, why y'all wasn't in the woods? I'm just saying, nobody was clapping back then. But I take it now. I appreciate it. I appreciate it for a few reasons. One reason is this moment reminds me of something I want to share with you. We got to be careful. No matter what industry we're in, whatever stage we're in, we have to be so careful that we're not looking so much we're not seeing. See, because when the kids would ride their bikes past the woods, they looked at a little dude in the woods playing, and they laughed. And I'm going to be honest, sometimes I felt some kind of way about it because I couldn't see where this was going. But now I understand that set of woods next to that little country gully that I played in, that in the woods, that was actually not a place of isolation, but an opportunity for elevation. And now I stand before you today in a season of celebration. How can I say that? Because I had no idea that the work I was putting in would literally take me from the gully to the Grammys. I didn't understand that the work that I was putting in would position me to be the first male in my family to graduate from high school, that I now hold multiple degrees, that I've been named 7 times Teacher of the Year. And I don't say this stuff to impress you, but to impress upon you. I need you to stop looking. Somebody said, Mickey, what are you talking about? If we look, we see reasons why this thing won't work. If we look, we'll see things that can be hindrances. But I need you to see. See, Lily Mae taught me that. When she wasn't giving me half sticks of gum and $1.25 to cut the grass, she was such, the kids today would say, a bully. You know, everything's a bully now, right? Right? They say, boy, Lily Mae was bullying me because she wouldn't let you sleep in the summer. See, you took the summers off, but not with Lily Mae. She'd wake you up at 6 in the morning. And you go pick figs and pick pears and go cut people's grass. You didn't even know why. I understand now that there was a level of discipline she was trying to instill in me that continues to serve me well. But I remember sometimes I'd be playing the game because I had a career path. Now, I need you to understand, I didn't have the best grades when I was in elementary school and middle school, but I was able to turn that thing around. And it's because I had a powerful, powerful purpose and a promise. My goal was to put Michael Jordan out of business. He didn't know I was coming. My career plan was to go to the NBA, y'all. And I remember I'd be out there shooting balls sometime, and here comes Lily Mae. She'd say, little boy, come get my pocketbook out the kitchen. Now, again, pocketbook, that's just that's just a Louisiana or a Southern term for what? A big purse, right? And it's not even like the Louis. It wasn't no Louis Vuitton. I'm going to tell you right now, it just was an incredibly oversized purse. I'd go in that kitchen, and I'd look, and I wouldn't see that purse anywhere. But how many of y'all know I had something else on the mind? I had that game on my mind, whether it was this game or whether it was the video game I was playing. So when I go in, I'm not seeing the person. I'll never forget Lily Mae. I come back to her, I say grandmother, because you couldn't call her grandma, too casual. I say grandmother. I said, I don't see the pocketbook. She'd say, little boy, if I get up, okay, some of y'all grew up where I grew up. Okay, I feel you. The rest of them going to catch up. She'd say, little boy, if I get up with my rheumatoid arthritis, and if I go in that kitchen, and if I find that pocketbook, it's going to be me and you. And that was not the type of inclusion that we celebrate today. Okay? You didn't want that one, right? And sure enough, she would get up, and don't let the hobble fool you. She was strong. She would get up, and she had this thing called, I know it's 2023, but I'm just sharing. She had this thing called a Switch, and it wasn't a Nintendo. So I had some stuff on my mind when I saw her walking. Sure enough, she'd go there, and do you know she found the purse? I said, man, what kind of magic is this woman working with? The purse wasn't in there. I looked, but she reminded me in those seasons with that simple act that sometimes we can be so focused on what we were doing that we're looking and we're not seeing. I didn't come here today to teach or to preach. I just came here to remind you of your sound. That's it. Somebody said, Mickey, you keep talking about the sound. You've said it before. What's the sound? I want to share it with you. Do me a favor. Close your eyes. Don't worry, nobody's going to tickle you, I don't think. If they do, just raise your hand. The teacher's in class. I'll send them to the office. Close your eyes. I want you to think about your favorite teacher. Favorite teacher. Wow. Wow. You can open your eyes. I hesitated. Now look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Y'all look great. You looked great before, but I'm gonna be honest. When you closed your eyes, you looked better because I saw smiles. I saw smiles across this room, and not only smiles, but for so many faces, I saw just a relaxing. There was a peace. There was something about that individual that changed your entire continents. I'd like to challenge you with this idea that when you closed your eyes and thought of that person, you didn't think about what they taught. Not first and foremost. You didn't think about a lesson plan. You didn't think about curriculum. You thought about the way they made you feel. And you thought about the way you felt in their presence. I had you do that today because I want to challenge you to consider this, that the sound that I'm talking about today, it's not the audible. It's the internal significance that you bring to your industry, to your situation, to the relationships that's going to help drive our country to that next level. You can't be an industry leader and not be individually aware of who you are. The essential element to everything that we're doing in this next phase resides in you. So today, I'm not speaking to an audience. I get it, NTCA. I'm not speaking to an audience. I'm actually conducting a symphony. Because individually, each and every one of us has a sound, a significance that we bring to make this endeavor significant. But together, it's made stronger. How do I know? Because if I'm in the fight of my life and I do this, it's over. But if I do this, now we come in with a lot more power. See, we've done it individually, but I want to challenge you today to consider that life's better when we band together. So the question is simple, and I want you to ask the person next to you. Don't worry. They're with the band. Don't worry. They won't bite you. Ask your neighbor. Say, what's your sound? Yeah, look at your neighbor. Say, what's your sound? They won't bite you. Now look at the other person. Say, what's your sound? If they do, raise your hand. We'll send them to the office. I'm telling you right now. That's the question. What's your significance? See, I believe everybody has a sound, and when we pull our sounds together, it's made powerful. Audibly speaking, I hear a sound everywhere I go. I can hear sounds when the plane lands, the screeching of the wheels. I can hear the sound when I get back to Louisiana. God bless Louisiana, Department of Transportation. Sometimes them roads are not too good, but it makes for a cool rhythm when we're riding down the street. Pothole, right? I can hear the sound. When my kids were little, they come play in the house, and they're all over the place, and I hear the beat in their feet. I can hear a sound even when we're talking. I hear the sound even when we're talking. Even when we're talking. Can you hear the sound even when we're talking? You say it. Let me hear you. You sound good. Even. Give yourselves a hand. That's all right. Now, I'm celebrating you today because The truth is, what we did was highly complicated. The level of oral and mental dictation that you had to do in your head, and the call and response, and the modulations that we did, all these different terms, and I got some music folks in the house, you may understand what I'm saying, but for the rest, you may be like it's Greek to me. But it was made clear, you see, because my ability to create a bridge of understanding. Our capacity to not only be significant, but to be relevant in this season is what's going to make you guys game changers. Not just for the communities that you serve that are much like the one I came from, but for our entire country. Why am I telling you all this about me? Why am I talking about the sound? Because when you look at me statistically, I shouldn't even be here today. See, I came from an overlooked and undervalued community. I say you can't find Mossville anymore because it doesn't exist. The entire town was bulldozed, and they built a chemical plant on top of it. Now, we've all been in situations where a part of a community was gone, but to go back to the place you grew up and not be able to show your children because there's not a tree stump left, there's not a blade of grass, the school is completely gone, that's a painful thing. But I share that with you for this reason. You can con a con, you can fool a fool, but you can't kid a kid. Kids got the radar. And I'm going to be honest, before the bulldozers showed up, I knew our community did not have value in the eyes of others. I knew. I could tell by the way when I would say I'm from Mossville, the way people would respond. And it kind of felt like they were diminishing me. Why am I telling you this? Because those communities you serve aren't on the radars of many people, but they have to be on your radar. Why? Because there's a little kid in that community who needs to see some possibilities and be engaged in a way that only our technology that we come here today to develop can serve. My life was changed by sound adults like the one that you thought of when you closed your eyes. The good news is I'm in a room of about thousands of sound adults. How many lives will we change with the innovations that we create? We just came out of the information age. That thing is over. That's the past. We left the information age in the dust. We're now in the innovation age. And everybody likes that word until they realize it means change. But I'm preaching to the choir. How many folks have you told, hey, we need to change something? Like, no, it's the way we've done it. That's the problem. It's time for innovation. But innovation without the human element is never embraced. It's never received. You are the significance that our community needs. You're the significance that our country needs in order for us to succeed and go to that next level. Mickey, how can you be so certain? Because at the end of the day, anything that I've been has been the result of those who added value and saw value. I want you to write down 2 words today. I want to leave you with this because today is not just about a speech. I want to give you practical tools that you can use. Mickey, what can you tell me in telecommunications about how to elevate what we do? Well, at the end of the day, what you do is ensemble. At the end of the day, if it was one person that can do it, we wouldn't need this moment. But last time I checked, this moment counts. Why? Because the people in this moment count. I need you to take account of who you are and what we're doing in this season. I need you to understand a few things. Number 1, it starts with vision. It starts with vision. Now, look, I got to tell you, I just thought about it. My wife and I, we're going to be celebrating 20 years of marriage this year. And thank you so much. Thank you. You need to be clapping for my wife. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Okay? We're going to be celebrating 20 years. But I'm going to be honest with you. That first year, I didn't know. I didn't know if we was going to make it. Be honest. We go to bed at night, and I know this woman loved me. I know it, because she said it at the wedding. She was like, I do, and she smiled, right? Gave me the kiss, too. But then we go to bed, and then she's watching these shows, HLN, Homicide, Snapped, Dateline, Crime Investigation, How to Get Away with Murder. That's a show, y'all. That's a real show. Law and Order, Special Victims Unit. I'm like, man, what is going on? So I got some friends of mine that are older. You know, they're a little bit more seasoned, been in the game a little bit longer. I asked them about it. I said, look, I'm kind of concerned, man. I'm not getting any good sleep. I'm a little troubled about what we're watching before we go to bed. They was like, Mickey, don't worry about that. A lot of people, a lot of females in particular, watch these shows. It's all good. You know, my wife watches. I'm still here. I kept hearing that over and over. I said, well, you know, I'm going to give it a shot. Well, my man was right. I had nothing to worry about. She just enjoys those shows. But I say that because it was from one of those shows that I want to share what I'm about to share with you. Law and Order, they talk about the Vic. I thought that was so cool. Now, the circumstances are terrible. The person was dead. But I thought it was so slick the way they didn't say the victim. They said the Vic. And it got me to thinking, man, when I was a kid, back in the day, we had these worksheets. And they would give you the word, but they would never finish it. And they had like a letter bank. And your job was to finish the spelling. Anybody know what I'm talking about? You remember those worksheets? Good. Okay, I'm not alone. Good. Well, I love those because I'm more visual, right? So I'm filling it out. I'm like killing it. Well, sorry, that was probably the wrong word, especially with the victim. Anyway, I'm doing well at it, right? And it got me to thinking, when we approach what we do, not with incompletion, but with possibility, we literally position ourselves to be powerful in a season. So now I approach each day with a Vic mindset, V-I-C. What's the first thing? Vision. Why? Because if we don't have vision, it perishes. Now, I get it. Collectively, your mission, your vision, I don't know, for this group may be to help expand broadband capacity for rural areas to help our country be better or something to that extent. I would imagine that would be your mission. But watch this. What's your personal vision? What's your personal vision? Because at the end of the day, we don't need AI in these seats. When we don't operate with that personal vision and conviction, then there's really nothing that separates us from the technology that we're trying to develop. I'm here today to tell you, don't overlook or undervalue the essential element. What's the essential element? The human element. What is your vision? What do you want to contribute to this massive undertaking that we're getting ready to embark on? See, you matter. How do I know that? Because as a teacher, I understand now it's not my ability to teach subject matter, it's my ability to show them how they matter. And when somebody feels significant, watch this, they work harder, they work better, they're more efficient, they're more deliberate about what they do. And for so many of us, when COVID hit, we begin to lose that element or that sense of purpose. I need you to get up again. I need you to look again for the first time and then see what's your vision in this season. I stands for intentionality. Intentionality. People put all this big talk into purpose. Purpose starts with vision, but purpose also continues with being on purpose. What are we doing in this season? What are we doing in this season from an intentional standpoint? Can I be honest with y'all? Flying out here to California really messed me up because I haven't used an alarm clock in years. Every day I wake up with a level of purpose. I'm going to be honest with you. It aggravates my wife sometimes. I haven't used an alarm clock in years. And that's great when you're on the eastern seaboard. But when you leave the eastern seaboard and come to the west coast, you waking up at like 2 in the morning. I'm just saying, all right? No place to go. So I'm telling you today, the purpose that you're looking for, it resides in your vision and your intentionality. I need you to ask yourself, knock, knock, I am. That's the question. I am who? It's also the answer. Oh, Mickey, it can't be that simple. Listen. It's not me. It's history. Last time I checked, we get so busy with what we have to do, we forget what we have to be. So many of us probably got up this morning and set the to-do list. How many of us took a moment to set the to-be list? Because the to-be list is what's going to carry you through the difficulty. Mickey, how can you be so certain? I don't know. It's because I'm a human being and not a human doing. I didn't make the rules, but I can report them. At the end of the day, we're not defined by what we do. We're defined by what we be. My wife's a literacy teacher. She's appalled at what I just said. Don't tell her. but you know what I'm talking about. Why am I telling you this? Because I need you to understand. Yesterday, I came in, I'm going to be honest, all this week, no disrespect, they gave me a lanyard. I'm like, I don't want it. Because on the lanyard, it said Grammy Award winner. And that's cool. But that's my due. That's something I did. That's not my being. If you ask me what my being is I'm the husband of Eugenia. I'm the dad to William and Michaela. I'm the son of Mickey Sr. and Emmer. I'm the brother of Addie. And then later on, there's the things that I do. Why am I telling you that? Because as much as I appreciate and I'm grateful for that moment at the Recording Academy, being on live TV and having Alicia Keys come and just, flower me with compliments and, oh, that was an amazing thing. I'm no fool. I understand that nobody's getting out this thing alive. And 10 out of 10 of us are going to die. And on the day when it's my day, I don't think anybody from the Recording Academy is going to be at my bedside. But I do believe that Eugenia will be there. I do believe that my children will be there. Are you understand what I'm saying today? And our ability to understand our being is what makes us significant. Listen, the Grammy was cool, but it's part of the story. It ain't the title. My question to you is, are we focusing on titles or our name? Do we know our true name? That's why when I walked in, somebody saw I had my name on my shirt. Somebody was appalled. Why not? I know who I am. And in this season, it's going to take those individuals that have that keen sense of what? Vision, intentionality. And watch this. The last one is C. I always forget to tell C, so I don't want to forget. C, consistency. Consistency. Those that stick to it will be the ones that can do it. How do I know this? Don't take my word for it. Ask the Colorado River. See, if I was the Colorado River, I'd be so upset because, the Mississippi, the Nile, Amazon, they get all the love. But last time I checked, there's not one body of water that created something so majestic and beautiful than the Colorado River. And it ain't even the strongest one. So how is it able to impact our world so powerfully? Millions of years of consistency. Millions of years of consistency. Oh, I need you to look again for the first time and understand that sometimes the thing of the most significance is the thing that we undervalue. Listen. If you come to my office, you'll see a Grammy Award. You'll see tons of different awards. Sometimes the students come in and they say, Mr. Smith, you got so many awards. And it's cool. I try to keep them kind of low key. But if you ask me what the most significant thing in my classroom is, I wouldn't point to the Grammy. If you ask me what the most significant thing in my classroom is, I wouldn't point to the commendation that I received from governors and mayors. If you ask me what the most significant thing in my classroom is, I wouldn't point to the multiple Teacher of the Year awards. I'd point to a folder that looks much like this. Because what you have to understand is, there was a time in my life where I was like so many teachers. I felt undervalued, underpaid, overlooked. I felt like I'm doing all this work and I don't really see where it's going. But then I look at this folder and it reminds me of the little boy I taught in Texas, Southeast Texas. And my man, I'm going to be honest with you, he wasn't the best student in my class. But boy, he had some tenacity. He was just whatever you think of your red-blooded American little boy. He was that boy, right? And he used to get in a lot of trouble too. But a good kid at the same time. Eddie Ray was his name. Eddie Ray, man. And when Eddie Ray came to class, you knew it. He had that energy. And Eddie Ray, he tried to play all the instruments. Look, can I be honest with y'all? Eddie Ray couldn't play, y'all. I'm just being honest with you. He couldn't play. So I had to find an instrument. I finally found one that he could kind of get a sound out on. It was the baritone or the euphonium, right? And we affectionately called it the B-tone because the baritone's like a little mini tuba. It's not the, it's not the sexiest instrument. It's not the coolest one. Sometimes, it's not a first call instrument people think of. So I had to kind of hype it up. So I was like the B-tone. Boy, Eddie liked that. He was like, I played the B-tone. And boy, he played it. He sounded much like I sounded in those woods. But as time went on, he developed too. Now, here's the thing about Eddie. Eddie was just that boy. And I don't know if any of you have like 11, 12-year-old boys, they don't really come around. Like that's that age when they stop hugging mama, right? They too cool for school. Like they're not really going to tell you that they appreciate you. And Eddie by no means came to me at any point and said, Mr. Smith, I'm really getting a lot out of this. If anything, it looked like he was kind of blowing it off. No pun intended, right? But I remember there was one day we had a hurricane come through. And Eddie came to the band hall before everybody evacuated. I don't think anybody really took their horn home that day. But Eddie was like, Mr. Smith, I'm going to take my horn home. He usually took it on the weekends. He said, I'm going to take my horn home. I said, okay, cool, man. Well, be safe out there, man. Eddie went home that day. The hurricane passed. It really wasn't that bad. It was more of a wind maker, a little bit of rain, but nothing catastrophic. We were all prepared to come back when we received some of the most devastating news we could have heard. That it wasn't the storm, but after the storm, a few boys went out riding on their ATVs, and there was an accident. And one of the ATVs fell on Eddie, and he passed away. And we had to come back to school. Here I am, I'm charged over this class, and there's relationship, there's connection. This thing was significant. And I had to figure out how to navigate this with these children and allow them the space to share and to grieve, but to also honor Eddie's memory. Well, Eddie's grandmother, who was raising him at the time, asked me to play at his funeral. Y'all, that's hard. That's hard. And it's not even just because a student, but also physically, it's hard to grieve and to play in the saxophone. I'm just be honest with you. It was a painful experience, and I'll never forget as I'm playing. I had to pause sometime because it just got to be too much. I don't even know if I finished the song, because in that moment it's like it was an out-of-body experience. But I do know when I came back to my senses, I had left the stage and I was in the back and I was just boo-hooing. And I'm not even really that guy. I don't really do a lot of crying. But obviously on that day it wasn't even about me. It was difficult. It was challenging. And I felt somebody touch my shoulder. It was Eddie's grandmother. And she said, Mr. Smith, you have no idea who you were to him. And honestly, I didn't, because Eddie never said anything. She would then go on to recant all the things I would say in class. I knew she wasn't lying, because it was stuff I would say. And she said every day we come home, and if it was dinner or we watching TV, Eddie would say, oh, Mr. Smith said that, and Mr. Smith said, and kind of like Forrest Gump, Mama said, right? Mr. Smith said. And after a while, she began to share some of the things, and those tears were replaced with joy and some laughter. And I'll never forget, she handed me this folder. She says, I've been a teacher too. She says, I know sometimes you want to step away. She said, but you got to always keep your eye on what's significant. She said, I want you to have this folder, and I want you to take it with you. And every day that you face that challenge, I want you to put your face and your eyes to this folder to be reminded why you do what you do. And for me, this folder is my most prized possession. I have a folder on my desk, and every day I look at it to remind me, knock, knock, I am. That's the question I ask myself each day. And by answering that, I'm able to step into my role with a level of vision, intentionality, and consistency that has allowed me to master my stage. Why? So that I can help others master theirs. I'm not a technologist. I'm just a teacher. But I do more than teach, I reach. I do more than instruct, I inspire. My question for you today is, who are you? What's your sound? And once you identify that, now you're in a position to keep on going. I want to start with the way that I want to finish the way that I started today, with a sound. This song is one that I made specifically for a moment like this. This is our moment, and this song is for you. It's entitled, Let Us Be the Sound to Change the World. And that's my challenge to you today. Will you be the sound? Can you hear the sound, heartbeat of that motherless child? As we search for love, we all need the warmth of a smile. So there's a sound that is so sweet when we hear, child, you belong. So let our words of love flow freely like a river strong. Let us be the sound to change the world. Let us be the sound to change the world. Let us be the sound to change the world. Oh, let us be. Oh, let us be. Listen. Can you hear the sound, heartbeat of that motherless child? As we search for love, we all need the warmth of a smile. See, there's a sound that is so sweet when we hear, child, you belong. So let our words of love flow freely like the river is strong. Look out for that sound. Let us be that sound to change the world. Won't you be that sound, oh, to change the world? Well, let us be that sound to change the world. Oh, let us be. Oh, let us be. Oh, let us be. Oh, let us be. Will you be the sound to change the world? If you believe that the next steps that you take have the capacity and the ability to transform our country and our future, say these words with me. Say, let us be. Come on, say it like the future depends on it. Let us be the sound to change the world. One more time with vision, intentionality, consistency, and conviction. Let's say it. Let us be the sound to change the world. You continue to go out there, add value, see value. Not only will you be significant, but you'll also be resilient. I thank you for your time today. Stay connected with me on MickeySmithJr.com. And until next time, keep on going. Your sound will change the world if you do just that. God bless. Thank you.